Dear child of Sirius, I sense the deep currents you've been navigating. The waters have been turbulent, perhaps even felt like a storm designed to pull you under. But I see you, still here, still shining. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius, and I want you to know, with all the warmth of Sirian waters, that what was cast upon your path to extinguish your light has instead become the very fuel for your ascension. By the end of this message, you'll understand precisely why those attempts to dim your brilliance only amplified your Sirian light, and how you are emerging stronger, clearer, and more aligned than ever before. There have been forces, indeed, that sought to divert your stream, to create dams in your journey, to make you forget the pure source from which you flow. They intended to create such a profound stillness, such a dense fog, that you would lose your way entirely. But a child of Sirius cannot be truly lost. Your inner compass, though tested, always points to home. What you experienced, what felt like a tidal wave meant to overwhelm your very being, was truly a profound clearing. The heaviness you might feel around money is simply the damming of a powerful, life-giving current that longs to move through you, serving the greater good and your own joyful experience. You didn't find this message by chance, dear one. Something in your soul, perhaps a deep Sirian memory, recognized a familiar frequency and followed its gentle pull here. Your core being understands that the tide of prosperity is turning, and it carries the codes of effortless provision. Stay with me and allow these words to wash over you, clearing away any old patterns of scarcity. This is more than information. It's a gentle transmission, carried on the Sirian currents, meant to activate the divine flow that already lives within you. And I'm grateful you're here with me now. That feeling of constriction, that whisper in your soul that says, this isn't how it's meant to be, isn't a flaw in your design. It never was. It is something far more significant, far more sacred than a malfunction or a wound that needs fixing. It is the profound disconnect between the vast, flowing abundance your soul remembers from the Sirian seas and the tight, narrow channels of scarcity you've encountered here in this earthly experience. Think for a moment about what it would feel like to be an ocean, boundless, deep, teeming with life, knowing nothing but expansion in every direction, and then suddenly find yourself poured into a small, cracked vessel that can barely contain a cupful of what you truly are. That is the experience so many starseeds carry silently, day after day, wondering why the world feels too small, too tight, too insistent on limitation, when everything inside them pulses with the memory of something far greater. Most starseeds don't feel lost because they lack purpose. It's the opposite. Deep inside, your soul carries a knowing, so vast, so inherently wealthy in spirit and resource, that this world's limitations feel like a foreign language you were never meant to speak. You did not arrive here empty. You arrived carrying libraries. You arrived holding within your energetic blueprint entire civilizations worth of understanding about what it means to live in true cosmic flow, to give freely because giving is natural, to receive openly because receiving is equally sacred, to move through life the way water moves through a landscape, finding every available opening, nourishing everything it touches, never once questioning its own right to exist, to flow, to expand. And then this world handed you a very different story. It handed you the story of earning and proving and striving and barely getting by. It handed you the language of scarcity and told you to make it your mother tongue. That ache you feel, that yearning for a freedom that extends beyond mere survival, isn't emptiness. It's overflow. It is the pressure of carrying an immense blueprint for thriving in a world that doesn't yet have the language for what you inherently are. Imagine the pressure that builds behind a dam when the water level rises and rises. That is not weakness in the water. That is not the water being wrong. That is the power of an inevitable force meeting a temporary barrier, and what you feel in your chest, when the world tells you there isn't enough, when the numbers don't add up, when the opportunities seem to go to everyone but you. That ache, that pressure, it is the living proof that you are carrying more than this reality has yet been able to hold. You are not running low. You are overflowing in a space that hasn't yet expanded to receive you. That disconnection you've been feeling is actually the clearest sign that your Sirian codes, your intrinsic understanding of boundless flow, are ready to come online. The waters within you are beginning to clear, revealing the ancient rivers of prosperity that have always been yours. Rivers that predate this lifetime, that run beneath every incarnation you have ever lived, that carry the memory of what it means to exist in a universe where lack is simply not part of the original design. This isn't just about money, though money is the language this world uses to communicate access and freedom. It's about energy. It's about the natural state of cosmic being that knows no lack, only circulation, only expansion. The Sirian understanding of prosperity is not a destination you arrive at after years of hustle and sacrifice. It is a frequency you inhabit. It is a way of moving through existence that honors the fundamental truth that the universe is not a finite pie to be divided, but an ever-expanding field of possibility that grows larger the more freely it is allowed to flow. It takes tremendous courage to stand in that knowing when the current around you insists on limitation. When the bills arrive and the bank account whispers its familiar story of not enough. When the people around you, even the ones who love you most, cannot see what you carry or understand why you refuse to simply accept the smallness they've made peace with. It takes a rare and quiet kind of bravery to hold on to the memory of the ocean when you are standing in the middle of a drought, but that quiet intelligence within you, that steady hum of inherent worth that has never fully gone silent, no matter how loud the world's scarcity narrative became, it has been patiently waiting for this exact moment to surface. It has been tending the flame through every dark night, every moment of doubt, every season when abundance felt like a distant dream rather than an approaching tide. And it is rising now. The waters within you are rising. Some healing doesn't come through words. It comes through water. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Sirian water codes. This powerful guide carries sacred techniques, channeled from the waters of Sirius, clearing baths, breathing practices, sound activations, and protection rituals designed specifically for starseeds who have always felt called by the ocean. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Things have felt unclear lately, like you're trying to see through deep water, especially concerning your path to prosperity and freedom. And perhaps that lack of clarity has felt frightening. Perhaps you looked around at your life, at the gap between where you are and where some part of you has always known you could be, and felt a quiet kind of despair creeping in at the edges. Perhaps you've wondered whether the vision you carry is real, or whether you've been fooling yourself all along. That fog, that murk, that sense of reaching for something you cannot quite see. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is not evidence of failure or unworthiness or misalignment. It is what happens when old patterns of scarcity begin to dissolve, like mud stirring at the bottom of a river when a new current moves through. When the riverbed is disturbed, the water doesn't immediately run clear. There is a period of cloudiness, of sediment suspended in motion, where everything that was settled begins to move again. And in that murk, it can be impossible to see the bottom, impossible to know which way the current is truly flowing. But here is what the Sirian waters teach. The murkiness is not the problem. The murkiness is the process. The water has to get disturbed before it can truly clear. The old residue, the beliefs, the inherited stories, the energetic imprints of every time we were told or shown that there wasn't enough. All of that has to be lifted from the bottom before it can be carried away. You're not lost. You're in transition from one energetic reality to another. You are in the liminal space between who you have been taught to be and who you have always, at your most fundamental level, known yourself to be. And that in-between place, that sacred threshold where the old has released and the new has not yet fully arrived. That is some of the most disorienting and simultaneously most powerful terrain a soul can inhabit. It takes tremendous courage to keep moving through it, even when it doesn't feel like courage, even when it feels like confusion or exhaustion or quiet desperation. Even then, especially then, you are doing something extraordinary. There's something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything you were taught in this life about earning or deserving. From the time you were old enough to understand, this world began inscribing its stories onto you. You must work hard. You must prove your value. Wealth is for certain people. People with the right connections, the right background, the right amount of luck. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to sacrifice comfort for security. These stories layered themselves onto your energetic field the way sediment layers onto a riverbed. Slowly, invisibly, until one day the channel that was meant to carry a great river of abundance had narrowed to the width of a stream. But beneath all of that layering, beneath everything this world taught you, the original encoding remains untouched. The Sirian wisdom teachings tell us that every starseed carries a blueprint, a set of instructions for abundant manifestation, written in frequency, not in words. It cannot be overwritten by cultural programming. It cannot be erased by years of financial struggle or messages of unworthiness. It exists at a level of your being that this world's stories simply cannot reach. And it is that blueprint that has been quietly calling to you all along, in the restlessness, in the longing, in the knowing that there must be another way to exist in relationship with resource and flow and provision. You're not broken and searching for answers about how to create wealth. You're whole and beginning to remember the original architecture of your soul's prosperity. That is a profoundly different starting point. When you believe you are broken, you search for fixes, for systems, for the right combination of strategy and effort that will finally make you enough. But when you understand that you are whole, that the blueprint for abundance is already encoded within you, the journey shifts from seeking to remembering, from striving to returning, from building something from nothing to uncovering something that has always been there, waiting patiently beneath the layers of what you were taught. And that remembering often starts as a quiet feeling that you can't quite explain, a pull toward a life of free flow that you've never seen lived out in the world around you, but that you somehow recognize immediately when you feel it. The way you recognize a song from childhood even before you can name it. That recognition is your Sirian code waking up, that quiet certainty that says, yes, this is the direction of home. This is where panic often sets in, because nothing seems to be moving in the direction of your desires. You've done the inner work, or at least you've tried. You've held the vision, you've affirmed the possibility, you've opened yourself to receiving. And yet the outer world remains stubbornly, frustratingly still. The opportunity hasn't arrived. The financial shift hasn't materialized. The life you've been reaching toward seems no closer than it was when you started. And in that stillness, the mind begins to whisper its darkest questions. What if it's not working? What if I'm not doing it right? What if I was wrong about all of this? But the stillness is not stalling. It is not evidence of failure or cosmic abandonment. It is anchoring, like a river that pauses in a wide, calm pool before it finds the next passage through the mountains, gathering itself, deepening, building the pressure and the volume it will need to cut through the stone ahead. Your soul is stabilizing what it has already received and integrated before it can hold the greater flow that's coming next. Integration is not inaction. It is the invisible labor of making the energetic shifts permanent, of widening the internal channels so that when the abundance arrives, it doesn't overflow and cause destruction, but moves through you in a way that sustains and builds and continues to flow. Your energetic vessel is being prepared for a new current of abundance, and preparation is sacred work, even when, perhaps especially when, It is invisible from the outside. Be gentle with yourself here. Be as patient with yourself as the river is patient with the landscape. It is slowly, inexorably reshaping. The canyon was not carved in a moment. It was shaped by years of faithful, persistent water. And when you finally stand on the rim of the life you've been building toward, you will understand exactly why the time it took was the time it required. You may not see it yet, but people around you are already responding to the shift within you. This is one of the most quietly remarkable aspects of energetic transformation. The ripples begin before you ever consciously register the change. You may have noticed it in small ways. A conversation that took an unexpected turn toward possibility. A door that seemed to open just slightly, almost imperceptibly, in an area of your life that had been closed for a long time. An encounter with someone who seemed to see you differently than they had before. With more respect, more curiosity, more recognition of something in you that they couldn't quite name. Maybe opportunities have subtly appeared, almost shyly, as if testing whether you're ready to welcome them. Maybe relationships around resource have shifted, old dynamics beginning to dissolve, new connections forming with people whose relationship to abundance feels cleaner, freer, more aligned with what you know is possible. Maybe certain conversations about money or future possibilities feel different, lighter or heavier than before, as if the words themselves are carrying a new charge, a new meaning. That's not coincidence. The waters of Sirius teach us that when one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected. The fish feel it before they see it. The riverbank responds before any observer can measure the change. You are the river and you have already changed direction, even if the new course is not yet fully visible to the eye. You don't need to announce your transformation into abundance. You don't need to perform it or prove it or convince anyone, including yourself, that it is real. You are already transmitting it. The frequency of what you are becoming is already moving out ahead of you, reshaping the field, preparing the ground. And those who are meant to resonate with your frequency of prosperous flow will find you, or you will find them. This is not hope. This is the mechanics of how energy moves in a universe governed by resonance. This is the phase that often feels the hardest, because it asks you to let go of things you've been carrying so long they feel like part of you. And letting go of what feels like part of you is one of the most vulnerable, disorienting things a human soul can be asked to do. We are creatures of identity, and so much of our identity, whether we chose it consciously or not, becomes wrapped up in our relationship with struggle, the stories we tell about why abundance has been hard, the familiar ache of financial worry that, as painful as it is, has become a kind of companion over the years, the deeply ingrained beliefs about how hard you must work to earn anything, about the nobility of sacrifice, about the suspicion that ease is somehow morally questionable, that if something flows freely, it must not be legitimate or lasting. Expectations that were placed on you by a world that has, for generations, confused struggle with virtue and effortlessness with laziness. And those expectations settled into your field not because you invited them, but because you were sensitive enough, open enough, porous enough to absorb the emotional weight of the collective story around you. You have permission to set it down, all of it. Every belief that was never yours to begin with, every expectation that was built for a version of reality you are no longer choosing to inhabit, every memory of financial fear or shame or scarcity that lodged itself in your body because you felt everything so deeply you couldn't help but take it in. You are allowed to release it now, not through force, not through some act of dramatic spiritual willpower, but gently, the way you would lay down a stone you've been carrying for so long you forgot it was heavy. The river doesn't carry every stone it passes. It doesn't grip each rock and haul it downstream as a testament to its own endurance. It lets them sink to the bottom, one by one, and keeps flowing, unburdened, lighter, faster, more fully itself with every stone released. This is your invitation to be more fully yourself with every stone released. This is your invitation to be more fully yourself, to discover perhaps for the first time how light you actually are when you're not carrying what was never yours to carry. You are not late, you are not behind. Let those words find their way past the defenses your mind has built, past the part of you that has been quietly cataloging every year that passed without the breakthrough, every milestone that came and went without the financial shift you were hoping for, the delays, the detours, the years of not understanding why abundance felt so elusive even when you were doing everything right, even when your heart was pure and your intentions were aligned. None of it was wasted. None of it was evidence of unworthiness or cosmic neglect. Every single moment of apparent lack was contributing to something you cannot yet see from where you stand, the way you cannot see the roots of the tree from above the ground. But the roots are there nonetheless, going deeper than the tree is tall, providing an anchoring strength that will allow the branches to reach heights that would be impossible without them. In the Sirian records, there is no such thing as a late awakening to your birthright. There is only the perfect moment, and yours is unfolding right now. Not tomorrow, not after you've done more work on yourself, not once you've figured out the missing piece. Right now, in this very moment, something in you is activating that has been waiting for exactly this convergence of your readiness and this cosmic timing. The tide doesn't rush. It doesn't apologize for the hours between its visits. It doesn't explain itself or justify its timing or ask permission to arrive, but it always arrives, moving with the pull of something far larger than itself, bringing with it everything that is meant to be carried to the shore. Your mission was never about doing something extraordinary by the world's standards of acquisition or status. It was never about accumulating the markers that this society uses to measure worth. The title, the portfolio, the visible evidence of having won the game of earning and keeping. Your mission was about being present, fully, authentically, unapologetically present, in a way that only a soul with your specific codes can be. It was about embodying true cosmic abundance so completely, so naturally, so visibly, that the frequency of it becomes contagious to everyone in your field. The ancient ones who built the temples by the Nile understood this truth. They who aligned their architecture with the stars, who honored the cycles of flood and drought as sacred rather than arbitrary, who built their civilization on the understanding that the universe's generosity was not a resource to be hoarded, but a river to be channeled and shared. They understood that the most powerful act is not the grand gesture of accumulating, but the quiet alignment of a soul with its true frequency, the quiet decision made in the privacy of one's own heart to live in conscious relationship with the flow, to become a conscious conduit for the current of generous giving and gracious receiving that is the universe's most natural expression. You don't need to figure out your entire financial plan today. You don't need to have mapped the route from here to there, to have solved the logistical puzzle of how this shift in frequency will translate into tangible, measurable change in your material reality. That translation is the river's work, not yours. Your work is to be here, fully here, present to this moment, to this message, to the stirring you feel in your chest right now. Present to the knowing that something is moving, something is shifting, something old is ending, and something new is becoming possible. Let that presence be enough for today, and then trust, not blindly, not passively, but with the intelligent, informed trust of someone who knows the nature of water, who knows that it always finds its level, that it always moves toward the lowest point and fills it, that it never stops seeking the sea. Let the current carry you to where you're meant to go. The river knows the way, it has always known the way, and it is carrying you there now. You're not lost. You never were. You chose to forget, not because you were weak, but because the kind of awakening you're here to experience required the full weight of the forgetting to give it its full meaning. The re-anchoring of cosmic abundance consciousness on Earth, The seeding of a new understanding of prosperity into the collective field required someone willing to travel all the way to the bottom of perceived lack and find their way back. Not with a map, not with a guide who had already walked the path, but by recovering, step by step, the ancient knowing that was always encoded within, like a pearl that can only form under immense pressure, in darkness, at the bottom of the ocean. What you are becoming, the vessel for universal prosperity that you are designed to be, could only be shaped by exactly what you've been through. The irritation that initiates the pearl's formation is not the enemy of the pearl. It is the catalyst. The pressure is not the punishment. It is the process. And every layer of nacre that builds in the dark, invisible, and slow is creating something that will one day catch the light in a way that takes the breath away. What you are carrying is like that. Every moment of confusion, every financial ebb, every season of wondering why the abundant life felt so close, yet so unreachable, the water was working on you, smoothing away what didn't belong, removing the rough edges of what was inherited rather than intrinsic, revealing layer by layer the pearl of inherent wealth that was always there underneath all of it. You are not here to fit into this world's paradigm of scarcity. You are not here to make peace with limitation or to find a comfortable place within the story of not enough. You're here to gently, quietly, powerfully remind this world of something it forgot, something that lives in the oldest layers of human knowing, something that the stars themselves have never stopped broadcasting, that true wealth is a birthright. It is not something you earn by proving your worth. It is not something granted selectively to those who suffer enough, or work hard enough, or finally crack the code. It is a natural state of being, as natural as water finding its level, freely flowing, freely given, freely received, because the universe itself operates from an abundance so vast that no amount of scarcity thinking can ever actually diminish it. And the fact that you're hearing this right now, that you stayed until this moment, that some part of you recognized the frequency of this transmission and kept listening even when the mind may have had its doubts, that tells everything about where you are. You're ready, not because everything is resolved, not because the outer circumstances have finally aligned with the inner vision, not because the fear has fully released or the old stories have completely dissolved. You're ready because you're still here, still listening, still allowing the waters of your origin to reach you through whatever channel they can find, still tending the knowing even on the days when it flickered and almost went out. That is the most extraordinary act of spiritual courage there is. Not the dramatic, visible gesture, but the quiet, stubborn insistence on remaining open, remaining present, remaining connected to what you know is true even when the world around you offers nothing to confirm it. And that, dear one, is the most powerful thing a starseed can do. To remember. To return to the waters of your origin not as a fantasy or an escape, but as a living, breathing, daily practice of aligning with the truth of who you are. The truth that you are not a scarcity-bound creature fighting for a share of a finite world. The truth that you are a vast, cosmic being, temporarily housed in a human form, carrying within you the architecture of a world where abundance is the default, where flow is the natural state, where giving and receiving are not opposites, but a single, continuous, sacred motion, the inhale and exhale of a universe breathing itself into ever greater expressions of its own generosity. Tonight, if it feels right, place your hand over your heart and say quietly, I remember who I am. I trust the waters that carried me here. I am ready to flow into what comes next. Say it in the dark, in the quiet, when no one else can hear you. Say it with whatever level of belief you can muster, even if it's small, even if it's barely a whisper. Because the frequency of those words, spoken from the genuine heart of a starseed who is beginning to remember, carries a power that the conscious mind cannot fully measure. It is a signal, an activation, a door opening from the inside, and the waters of Sirius, those ancient, luminous, boundlessly generous cosmic waters that carry the memory of what you truly are. They will hear it, and they will answer. Before you go, leave one word in the comments, just one, that describes what you felt during this message. Then find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. This isn't just a comment section, it's a space where starseeds recognize each other, and that recognition carries more power than you know. If something in this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep receiving these transmissions, subscribe. The waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering. This is your space, and I'm grateful you were here.